All right, welcome to the Municipal Facilities Committee meeting tonight. We'll open with the first item, approval of the November 24th, 2024 minutes.
So moved. Second.
All right, motion passes. Item number 2 is 2025 Municipal Facilities Committee Work Plan draft, and staff will give us a presentation. I'm sorry, so we're gonna skip item number 2 for right now until we get it figured out. And then we'll move on to item number 3, which is the Memorial Flag Triangle Project Update.
All right, so Chair and council members, we've been, of course, working on the Memorial Flag Triangle. And so we've been requested to give a update and on where we are on the project. So we're gonna go over the current conditions, what the funding sources are, the design, the public outreach, and it's been it's a pretty neat little project. It's not one of the larger projects we're doing, but this type of monument or memorial is I think is really critical for the community, and plus the addition of signage, entry signage coming in from Normandy Park and Memorial View Drive is I think is also a big benefit to the city. Plus, as a military guy, the state of the flagpole in the area is really degraded, and the infrastructure needs to be replaced. There's cracks in the flag foundation. The flagpole is rusty, very hard to maintain. You need a bucket truck to change the flag, to raise the flag half mast. You need a bucket truck so you can't have ceremonies. So it's just lots of little things that need to be addressed, and pretty much all of them and the community's requirements here are done. The one thing I will point out in the survey I wanted to bring out before I hand the slideshow over to Alex is there's really a lot of it was very positive, and you'll see that in the numbers. There was 2 kind of outliers on that. Some people just didn't want to spend any money on it, so that's always an issue. And then there was something that I thought was interesting, because I thought was more semantics, was people were like, why are we putting a park in the middle of traffic for kids? And that's not the intent. I think that's it's been called Memorial Park for a long time. It's really a monument. And I think that there's a semantics issue with some of the responses with regards to that we received. So I think calling it, as we rebuild it, rename it, we'll call it a memorial instead of a park in the future.
Although I'd like to comment on the fact that in my 20+ years here in Des Moines, I have seen young adults with their lawn chairs just watching traffic in the middle of the park, and their cooler, their soda pops that were in the cooler, I'm pretty sure they were, but they've enjoyed it as a park.
It's a monument, man.
It's yeah.
Can I just add something? So I'm not sure if some of you guys, I want to just bring up the history really quick. So I think I've told you about it, but if you haven't heard it, so World War I, in this particular area, a lot of the soldiers were kept together, right, when they went overseas. And what happened while they were serving over in Europe is this particular area and the battle lines were particularly hit hard. So there was a lot of casualties that affected the area. So the Des Moines Memorial Drive was built. They put up the elm trees and so forth. And it's over 100 years ago, obviously, so many people have forgotten, but I'm a veteran as well. And I think it's our duty, particularly the elm trees, most of them are gone now through either disease or hit by cars or progress. But this is one of those things where it's very important to us as veterans, honoring that history for those that are no longer here, to show that they were part of that history. So I just want to add that.
Thank you.
Great. Hi, council members. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Alex Johnson, and I'm the Capital Improvement Project Manager for the Surface Water Group, and I'll be the project manager for this project. Councilmember Mahoney, I appreciate your anecdote there. And yeah, agree with the importance of this. This will actually be my third project along the Des Moines Memorial Corridor. So I've worked with King County on a couple other projects that included memorial elements like the star and the elm trees and the historical bricks. So this one's close to home for me. Just a little bit of the project background through council. It was first introduced at council on June 1st in 2023. It was introduced for the dual purpose of honoring the World War I veterans, as well as updating the gateway and entrance to the city of Des Moines. It was part of a $25.1 million Marina and Redondo redevelopment bond, and it was passed by full council by a vote of 5-2 on June 8th, 2023. Mike touched on this a bit, but as we know, the base of the flagpole is nearing the end of its functional life. There's very apparent cracking and damage to it. So that would need to be replaced regardless of the other elements of this project. And as Mike also touched on the flagpole itself, it's a very old one that requires our crew to take their bucket truck and to manually change out the flag. And that is something that was specifically addressed in this design, that the flag would be able to be raised and lowered and changed out as needed from the base by hand with just a simple drill and a tool. Now we get to the project itself. So the main features of this project are the new gateway sign, the new flagpole and its foundation. It's a restoration of the memorial plaque, and it's adding beautification and landscaping to the entire area for those folks who may want to put their lawn chairs out. I'll go ahead and give you guys a couple more seconds on this slide just to take in the design features and the overall footprint before I start boring you with the numbers. So we've currently expended just over $90,000 in design, both internal and external, and we are estimating about $300,000 for construction, which gets us to just north of $400,000 for the project in the whole. We have bonds set aside in the amount of $374,000, and we have funding from Sound Transit specifically for the sign, but applied to the whole project for $50,000, and that leaves us with a surplus of about $21,500 that we currently have funding for versus what we have projected for total costs for this project. Now we'll get into, oh yep, go ahead, Councilmember.
So you're saying, so the 21,000 surplus that's funding we're short of?
No, that's a contingency.
We're counting that as contingency now. It's additional money above what we need for the project.
Okay, and where would that come from?
It already exists in the bond.
Okay.
It's in the bond.
We are bonded for more than what we anticipate the total cost will be for both design and construction.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no shortfalls on this one so far. So in March of 2024, we did some public outreach, and we got about 120 responses. There were 2 concepts presented for the gateway sign, and it was nearly dead even, but there was a slight preference for the design you see up there. There were 6 concepts presented for different benches, and the most preferred option got about 27% of the vote. I know it's a little hard to see in this picture, but we did 9 different concepts for concrete finish, and this one got about 35% of the votes. And then lastly, we asked for input on the plaque, and this stone plaque got about 28%. In the additional comments, there were a number of comments that talked about how their concern over this being used as a park and being marketed as a park. And there were specifically a lot of comments asking if the benches were a safe feature or why the benches needed to be included. And so because of that, those comments and this ranking in the bench seating where that element was last, we actually removed the benches. So there will be sidewalk and then the memorial plaque itself. But yeah, nowhere to sit. Exactly, and cooler. Might be able to hide a cooler behind the plaque. All right, now we get to timeline. So we're in January of 2025 right now. We've started early procurement on our long lead items, which are things like the uplighting, the flagpole itself, and some of the signage. We're currently scheduled to go out to bid either at the end of next week or the following week, and advertisement will be for the month of February, and construction is slated to begin in March. This is currently a bit of an overestimate, as we only think that we'll need about 6 working weeks to complete the project, but we wanted to make sure we had a buffer so that we could guarantee a ribbon cutting on or before Memorial Day in May of this year. And now we'll open up for questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Mahoney.
I understand the bench idea. I think, you know, obviously, and relabeling it as a monument, probably the best idea. It's, you know, obviously an interest of town and pay respects to those that served and lost their lives during World War I. So I can see that, and I understand why you would make that decision. The question I have, during the summer, often this turns into the brown spot. In fact, we painted it green one time, and that, surprisingly, they talked about how ugly and dead it was, and then we painted it green, and then they complained about that. And I think it was some of the same people. But what is the plan to ensure that the landscaping piece stays vibrant and healthy and so forth?
Because of the funding that we were able to find at different points of this project's design life, elements were taken out to adhere to certain budgets. But given the current level of funding that we've had, we've been able to add back in all of those pieces, which includes new landscaping and dedicated irrigation for that landscaping.
Perfect. That's the question I had. I think you guys did an excellent job, and I think you took the results of the survey to heart.
Yes. Well, I have to express some concerns, as I did previously. This is 2 of the busiest roads in the confluence of, you know, the north end traffic and stuff coming in here. It is extremely busy, and notwithstanding a few people who may have brought coolers and folding chairs there. There is not ready access to this, and I'm wondering how much is the cost of the stamped concrete and all of that, the concrete work on this thing.
I do have cost estimates on that, but I don't have that information with me, unfortunately.
Okay, my concern is that I agree that it's no longer Memorial Plaza. That signifies I think the necessity for a level of solemnity that being in the middle of these 2 roadways is not particularly there. But the fact that we're talking about basically horizontal display on this thing, that I would say the overwhelming number of people are going to interact with this as they're driving by. And, you know, I don't think, given its prominence, it's not just a drive-by thing. It's like people will notice that this is recognizing, you know, our war veterans from World War I. A couple questions. One is that was any thought given to making this more of a vertical display? For example, we have the height of the flag pedestal that, you know, at that height could, you know, the plaque and everything else, and even some of the concrete work to make it so that it's a vertical display, so that it has more meaning to people who are driving by. Because people who are just driving by, there's just gonna be a flat surface out there. And the fact that we have, it's very difficult to access. High traffic volume, there are no parking spaces, you're asking people to come from quite the distance. And I just think that it would probably be more appropriate and more meaningful to people if it was, like I say, more of a vertical display rather than a horizontal display. So that's.
So Councilman, I wanted to address one thing, and that is the parking piece. Although it's not in this project, something we looked at as a staff is there is a roundabout up, you have to go through the neighborhood on the left side. And right now we're doing a construction project through there, and as part of that, we thought of maybe making an accessible parking spaces there, or time parking spaces there in the future. So people wanted to come and walk to the park, they could start at that location and making a connection. It's not included in this scope of work, but it's something that we've looked at internally, so we are tracking on that. As far as the more vertical signage, I think there's one vertical sign by Des Moines Memorial, or?
We actually have the signs are really neither vertical nor horizontal. They are elevated, and they're at, you know, at about a 45 degree for the memorial placard, and then we do have interpretive signage and that one is really what goes into more depth about the history of the road, of the memorial, and kind of what the park, or what the triangle and the road stand for. And that is something that we currently have back in front of the flagpole, but it's certainly something that I could talk to our fabricator about potentially duplicating that to have another sign closer to the road for folks passing by.
So did the Des Moines Memorial Committee have say in how we did the lineup?
Yeah, so I've the previous project manager had met with them, and then since I've joined the city, I've had a meeting with them to go over the specific layout of the sign. We've looked at their signs on other projects to kind of take that as an outline, and yeah, they've reviewed both the sign itself and the placement.
Okay.
And the other question I had was, I seem to remember this involves the park down opposite Anthony's, where the Marina Scope is now. That originally there was a 3-masted flag pole, and I believe there was a Blue Star Highway monument there. Have we checked to find out whether this Des Moines Memorial Drive is a Blue Star Highway project? And is there, you know, now that it's, you know, the brick road used to go the whole distance and stuff, so, but that element of it has been taken out. So would it not be appropriate to have a Blue Star Highway designation at this location? Because I don't believe there is any for the rest of the.
I was unaware of that, but that's a brilliant idea. I mean, I don't know what the actual requirements are to apply for a Blue Star Highway, but we could definitely look into doing that. I mean, I know it goes all the way up, Memorial Drive goes all the way up, and so I think that would be a really, given the history of the name of the road, the history of the road, and the, you know, the keystone part at this corner, I think that's absolutely, we can absolutely pursue that. And so we'll contact WashDOT and see what those requirements are.
On the vertical piece that he was talking about, when we were initially discussing this, I recall, and obviously we have new players in the game, but part of the reason we had to keep a lower profile on the vertical sense was the line of sight and all those kind of things because of the nature of the intersection. And that's why the compromises were made there. So I think that's something that you guys, looks like it was taken into account. So I'm fine with the way it is. I think it's something, quite honestly, I think it's council ready. But that was some of the reasoning behind it. Yes, you know, I know we're gonna get some visitors, particularly new. I think it'll soften over time. But it'll still be there. On key days, it'll be a monument and probably have a little bit of ceremonial aspect. But in general, it's just there to do what it is, be that entrance from the north and pay that homage and honor. So I don't think it's necessary to explore the vertical change, and I think that was why. You can verify that, and if it wasn't, obviously, we can explore it, but I don't think it's necessary.
Great, I appreciate that background, and yeah, I'll look into that.
Thank you. I did have one question. Thanks for the presentation. A couple questions, sorry. So we're procuring the long lead items, so like the electrician's not gonna have to worry about to procure that. That'll be removed from the bid. We're taking care of that ourselves.
Yep, they'll
Correct.
be owner
We
provided.
worked with the architect and the designers to get those on order prior to so that they're ready and spec for the contractor so that we can meet the Memorial Day date. So that's the date we're working backwards from, and to do that, we had to do advanced procurement.
Very, very good. I'm pleased with the foresight for that, because there's very long leads on electrical components. So, and then second of all, so this is gonna go out to bid. Are we only advertising on the BXWA, or is there going to be are we inviting other contractors that we've worked with before to bid this project, or is it just BXWA only?
That's normally where we bid out, so, and we advertise also, so it's not just limited to that, so.
Okay. All right, that's what I have. Thank you.
I think the only thing is that you need from us, right, is that to take this before the full council? Or do we need that?
No, the next time the council will see it was when we bring the contract to execute with the contractor. So this is really an update, the final plan, and on where we are in the project. There's no further council action other than the actual contract that we need.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Great.
So you're going to check on the Blue Star aspect, and will you be coming back to us with that information? I mean,
I think an email would be sufficient if it's gonna come back to council.
We will look at designating Memorial Drive as a Blue Star Highway regardless. I think that's separate from the actual project, but I will come back with you with any information on that and how do we apply for that and implement that.
and then do you anticipate, if there is, that there will be some sort of monument or designation that it is Blue Star Highway?
Yeah, if it was, we would, most of the Blue Star highways I've seen have got the Blue Star plaque and the dedication. We did one in Tacoma. I didn't do it personally, but down by Narrows Drive there's one in the Memorial Park that we did there. And so, yeah, so if we're able to do it, which I don't see why we wouldn't be able to, then we would probably put the star there in the park as an entrance point.
Monument.
Or monument, yes. Monument, I gotta get that right. I've been calling it park myself.
And I think for timing on that, if it's something that's pretty straightforward and simple that we can integrate into the project, that's great. I think even if we can't, and this is, maybe a months-long process, I don't think that's an issue, as we have plenty of room, both in our hardscaped areas, but also in the lawn, that we could easily incorporate that plaque.
Alex, thank you. That's what I was just gonna say, is like, it sounds like it's two different projects, and we go with the project that we've got ahead of us. You guys do your research, and if it's great, like putting multi-utilities in one ditch, let's do it then. But if not, then we keep walking forward with it, so.
Maybe Veterans Day.
Maybe Veterans Day. All right. Thank you so much. On to, are we going back to number 2, or should we move forward to number 4?
We can go back.
All right,
I
let's,
apologize very much for that one. I've
no.
always been second. I've never been the lead on this. But that's okay.
we'll move forward with the 2025 Municipal Facilities Committee Work Plan.
Yeah,
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, Chair and Council. Scott with the Des Moines Marina. Just going down our year's work plan, you're going to hear me a lot. I hate to say that, but we're going to have a lot of updates on the LM and N dock replacement project. I'll probably give you some touch points each month as we move forward. I know Scott's going to be doing next month the Midway Park. He'll give you a little something on that. March we'll be hopefully having an installation. He's going to get there. March we'll have hopefully the installation for the Redondo parking. So we'll give a combined revenue on the marina parking, and then we'll give you an update on the Redondo parking. And then Scott, do you have the PD also? Yep, he does. Service center gates. I love Mark. And then April, we'll be looking at the Marina Master Plan, which will be changing to the Marina Comp Plan probably, so you'll see a little update on that. Some Marina CIP projects, and as we work down the year, it's a lot of updates on our CIP projects for all of our projects and different things, so you'll be seeing those implemented in. So it's going to be a busy year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Very good. Thank you, Harbor Master. Any questions from my colleagues?
The only thing I had was, and you pretty much just mentioned it, particularly all the bond projects. As updates come up in our meetings, if it just takes 5 minutes or 10 minutes just to tell us where we are, what roadblocks we're facing, what progress we've made, we'd appreciate that as well.
And
I know you can't put that on a calendar because
it's all over the place.
TBD.
Well, right, and yeah, the council, of course, on the 13th will be getting some decision points on how we're moving forward and where we're at. And then after that, depending upon input from the council, we'll be deciding, we'll be bidding and working on getting those projects running, and then you'll be, of course, getting updates in this committee or in any other committee that sees fit, so.
Very good. Thank you. Councilmember Oxner.
Could we get an update on the Fieldhouse Park play facility?
If you want, I can give you an update on that right now. It'd take 30 seconds. So the park structurally is done and open, except for the slide. The slide meets the legal requirements to open it. However, we feel, staff feels that even though it meets the requirement, I don't know if you've been to the edge, there's a big drop off there on the rubberized edge, right? So we've got some concern from citizens and from staff, including myself, that although the design meets the requirements of the state and the state inspector has signed off on it, we want to add some gates, and then we want to add up the steep slopes on the side as an additional project, which will get done before the summer, a tow rope climb, and some rock climbs on one side. So we're getting prices on that, and then we'll be able to open the slide. The remainder of the park is open. Theoretically, we're legal to open that park at this time, but we just don't feel it's prudent. I'm going to put on my public works director and father hat and disagree with the state that says, I think it's too steep.
And are there any concerns with Are there any concerns with regard to insurance?
Well, that's why, to me there were, and to the city attorney there were also. I spoke with the city attorney. Although it does meet the legal requirements per the state, that doesn't give us, we don't have carte blanche to ignore it. I mean, as a parent, I would look at that and I would say no to my 3-year-old. So I think that's where I stood at, and I requested city attorney, then city manager to take a look at it also. He concurred. Our current city manager concurred also. So I'm going to disagree with the state on this one, and we're going to make some adjustments and some adds to that slide and have it in place hopefully by June.
Well, I appreciate your concern for such things that protecting our kids has got to be a priority on all of this. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any more on that item?
Nope.
Okay. Looks like we're moving on to item number 4 now, the senior/activity center roof replacement update, and staff will provide a update.
All right, so we've currently gotten pricing from our roofer. What was the roofer we have now?
Allied Roofing.
Allied Roofing, and so we're going forward with that. The purpose of the roof upgrade is linked directly to the solar panel grant that we received to add solar power or electricity to the senior center. You like to put solar panels on a roof that that the lives match. And so we did an inspection on the roof after we received the grant, and excuse me. And we looked, and it turns out we had 3 layers of roof on there. Although it's not leaking, it's not exactly what you want to put a pretty nice capital-sized grant project on. So we adjusted our timeline. We've worked with the state, and so we're replacing the roof. We've had to, so it's really 2 projects. We do have a $24,000 add after meeting with the solar people, so we need to add. We may be coming back on the contract that we already have to add $24,000 because we had to add some structural stanchions and decking so that the solar panels can go back into the roof. So that we're working through that, but it is grant funded for the solar panels, and our match is basically fixing our roof so that we get the solar panels. So that's what the project is going to. Did I leave anything out?
The only thing I'd add is currently the solar portion of it is out to bid. Bids are due February 5th. So hopefully we'll get good numbers, and it won't have a sticker shock factor there.
Did you say that we had a grant for the solar panels, or is
Yeah.
the state picking up the, okay.
So the state solar panel grant is what's paying for the solar part of the project.
Gotcha.
And basically our match to that grant is we have to prepare the roof for that. So we got the funding for that out of last year's budget.
Perfect.
All right.
Any other questions from my colleagues?
Nope.
Councilmember? Sir? No? Okay. Perfect. Thank you for that, guys. Appreciate it. Next, we're on to the custodian contract update, and staff again will provide a presentation.
All right, so everyone's aware of last year's budget. One of the items we looked at for reductions was our custodial contracts. All right, so we went through and cut that budget, I believe, by 100. Was it 100,000?
Basically in half.
Yeah, basically in half. And so just to give you an update on and that's all in the budget book about what we reduced. So you can look there for the actual numbers. But just to let the council know, areas that had, 3 visits a week by the custodial staff might have 2 or 1. Areas that, there are some exceptions to that, such as like certain areas in the police, because of what they're used for, and things need to be cleaned more often. But generally speaking, we've reduced the services to the facilities around here by about half. In order to meet the budget constraints we had. So we just want to make council aware of that we've accomplished that. We met and negotiated with our contractor, and they were very good to work with. They understand. A lot of municipalities are very tight right now, and we weren't the first ones to come with them to reduce, and they work with us pretty closely to accomplish that. So we're very happy with the contractor. We're very happy with the service we're receiving since the reduction. And staff is kicking in too. Staff is taking care of making sure their garbage cans are cleaned up and managed and taking care of their stuff also. So it's working out. It's been a decent savings.
Very good. Any other questions?
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, obviously with COVID and some of those concerns, so the high-touch areas where there's a lot more people, I assume that those are the ones that are getting probably a little bit more frequent.
The public-facing sides and like the police sides where there's things like that. Some of those areas are maintaining a level of service that's above the rest just because they need to. But where it could be reduced, it was.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I just want to say thanks to all of staff for pitching in and helping out. And I mean, it means a lot to me as a council member, and I'm sure to the rest of my colleagues that, I mean, we're in tough times, and I just appreciate all you guys. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that takes care of all of the business that we have on our agenda for today. If there's anything else that staff has for us? No? All right, well, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, I guess we're adjourned. Thank you all for the hard work.
Thank you.